Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have an exciting open house for you today. My name is Victoria, and I am the Master of Public Administration Program Information Specialist. And today we are joined by Dr. Jason Jolley and Dr. Alexander Murray. So just some housekeeping rules before we get started. We do have a group chat and a Q&A box that we encourage you to use. If there are any questions that come to mind throughout the presentation, just feel free to pop those in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get them answered throughout the session. If not, we'll have an enrollment advisor reach out to you separately after. So now to get started, I'd like for you to meet Dr. Jason Jolley and Dr. Alexander Murray. Dr. Jolley is the Master of Public Administration Director at the George V. Voinovich School of Leadership and Public Affairs here at Ohio University. And Alexander Murray is the Director of Online Academic Programs and Senior Lecturer here at Ohio University Voinovich School of Leadership and Public Affairs. Welcome, Dr. Jason Jolley and Dr. Alexander Murray. Thank you both for joining us today. Do you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself and your experience? We can start with Dr. Jolley.
Thank you, Victoria. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry. So I just want to make sure my tech things are working here. So my name is Jason Jolley, and I'm a professor here at the Voinovich School, and I also direct the Master of Public Administration program. I do serve as the faculty advisor for all of our online students, and so you'll work closely with me. Dr. Murray, who's going to introduce himself in a moment, provides support to the students as well. So my focus really is on economic development, and that's what I do in my day-to-day applied research here at the Voinovich School. In the program, I teach several classes. I teach Foundations of Public Administration at times, and so I may be your instructor in that course. I also teach Public-Private Partnerships, Policy Analysis. I do co-teach budgeting and financial management for those of you who may take the financial management course. And then I also teach measuring outcomes in the public sector. We have a lot of courses in the program, and we have multiple faculty, and we often run multiple sections. And so I do have other colleagues and instructors in the program who teach some of the other sections of those courses. Really excited to be with you this afternoon, and I'll let Dr. Murray introduce himself.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I'm Dr. Alexander Murray, and I've been with the Voinovich School nearly 5 years now. Had a career in developing online instruction for many, many years. I primarily direct our online academic programs within the Voinovich School, and I'm also a professor of instruction within the school. Within our online program, I teach the organizational leadership course as well as nonprofit leadership and governance. And I also teach an e-government course with our executive program. Delighted to have you all. I'm excited that you all are here and joined us this afternoon, and just excited to tell you a little bit more about the program. Thank you.
Thank you both for sharing. I am excited that you both are our guests today and that the future students get to listen to you both, just because based on my daily interactions, I can tell you're both very good experts and truly passionate about this program. So super excited, and thank you again for joining us today. So moving along, these are our general admission requirements and what it takes to get into the program. So you will need a bachelor's degree from an accredited university with the GPA of 3.0 or higher, official transcripts from all colleges and universities that you have attended, a current resume, and my personal favorite is the goal and personal statement section. This is really where you can take advantage of this and allow yourself to showcase how you will use this program in your future and as a leader. 3 letters of recommendation, as well as a $50 online application fee. And then no GRE or GMAT scores are required. Is there anything
Victoria,
to add on to that?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I was going to add, sometimes students see the GPA of 3.0 or higher, and they may think that if they have less than a 3.0, they're not eligible. However, we do sometimes admit students who have less than a 3.0 GPA. We do sometimes admit those students on a conditional admission basis, which would require them to obtain a 3.0 GPA in their first semester in the program. So, if you're a student, let's just say, for example, you started your undergraduate career and you thought you wanted to go to med school and you took a lot of chemistry or science classes, you did not do very well, and you changed over and ended up with a degree in sociology or political science or economics, and maybe your GPA was hurt because of those early science classes, you'd still be a great candidate potentially for the program. We would want you to maybe explain that in your statement so that we know a little bit about why that happened, so don't leave us guessing. We also know that sometimes maybe folks had less than a 3.0 GPA, but they went to school, 5-10 years ago, and now that they're out working, they're clearly a different person than they were maybe when they were an undergrad. Perhaps they had other priorities when they were an undergrad. Many of us did. So, don't let that necessarily be a deterrent. But if you do have less than a 3.0, we would want to see you explain that in your statement. And so the statement, I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. We're really looking for 2 pages that talks to us as a committee about you as a professional and where you want to go with your career and what are your interests. And so this is the time for you to explain perhaps if you had any particular hardships in your undergraduate program. Again, perhaps you struggled with foreign language and that impacted your GPA. As I said, maybe you thought you wanted to go to med school and you took a lot of science courses and didn't do well. Or maybe you've just matured a lot since you were an undergraduate and you want to explain that to us. But let that be a place where if there's anything that maybe there's a gap in your resume, maybe there are a little challenges in your undergraduate program, that professional statement and that sort of goal statement, that's the place to explain that to the admissions committee so we're not left guessing. Dr. Murray, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that was I think that was a pretty good explanation. We do try to weigh everything out, and if we see something that's a little weaker in some areas, we do consider all of the areas of your application. So yeah, don't let the 3.0 GPA throw you off. So, yeah.
Thank you both for sharing that. Moving along to why Ohio for your MPA. So we may have some guests here today that are just recently discovering this program. So the starting point, Dr. Jolley or Dr. Murray, why should someone choose Ohio and specifically the Online Master of Public Administration program?
So I think that's a great question about why would someone choose our program. One of the things I think is different about our program compared to some other Master of Public Administration programs, there are a lot of Master of Public Administration programs, and many of them now are increasingly sort of moving towards offering online education. In our case, here at the Voinovich School, we have 3 versions or 3 modalities, as we call them, for the Master of Public Administration degree. We have an on-campus MPA degree that is geared towards what we call pre-service students, those students who do not have any work experience. Students can get that degree here in Athens, going to school, in-person classes. We also have an executive MPA that is delivered to working professionals in the Columbus market, and those courses take place on Saturdays. And we have the online MPA that we're talking about here, where the coursework is 100% online. What's great about our program, there are many things that are great about it, but one of them is when you graduate, you receive the Master of Public Administration degree. That's what your diploma says. It doesn't distinguish whether you got that online or on campus or in our executive program. So it's going to be the same Master of Public Administration degree that's awarded to students no matter which modality they pick to get their degree. And also, many of the courses are taught by the same faculty. So you are, by taking the online MPA, you're also being taught by the same core faculty that teach the courses here in our on-campus program, and the same core faculty that teach in our executive MPA program. So you're getting the same opportunity to take courses with our faculty that you would get if you were here in Athens or if you took our Saturday program. Likewise, when you're being taught by some of our highly qualified adjunct instructors, you're taking courses with the same people who teach in the on-campus program or, in many cases, the executive program. So in no way are you being shortchanged by selecting an online program. You're still getting the same degree, you're still being taught by the same faculty, and you're still taking the same courses. You just happen to be doing it online. And so I think that's different than many other online programs where they may have adjunct instructors who don't normally, say, teach in their on-campus program. In our case, you're being taught for the most part by the same people. I think the other thing that's different about us is we are unique here at the Voinovich School in that all of our faculty are 12-month appointments. So many more traditional schools will have 9-month faculty. The faculty teach 9 months, and then they go out and they may do their research during the summer. They may travel. They may do other things. Here we are 12-month professionals, and so we are all working and engaged, and so it makes for a unique experience here because we are very applied. Most of our work is working on applied projects of service to the Appalachian region of Ohio or to the state of Ohio. I'm working on a variety of economic development projects, for example, to build, support the economy here in Ohio. We have many colleagues who are working on data projects around data analysis to support various initiatives here in the state of Ohio. We have colleagues working on program evaluations to determine how effective are interventions to help in education, in the environment, and health. And so when we come to the classroom, we cover the necessary theory, but we're not really heavy on theory. We're really more about how do we help you become better public administrators? How do we help you become better leaders? How do we teach you the technical skills that you need to advance in your career? And so I think it's different here than many other places in that all of our faculty have experience working as professionals in local, state, or federal government, and also in the private sector. And so when we come to the classroom, we bring to bear that professional experience that we have to solving real-world problems, and that's really our motivation. And so I think you'll see a difference in the classroom when you get in with our instructors compared to what one might see in other places. So that's clearly one of the benefits of our program. The other one I would say is that you are joining a very robust alumni network, particularly in Ohio, but increasingly across the country. And so we have a well-respected program. Senator Voinovich, that our school is named after. Senator Voinovich was the mayor of Cleveland, and he helped rescue Cleveland when it was in default in the 1980s when he became mayor, and it became an all-American city. He became the governor of Ohio, and then he became a United States Senator. And Senator Voinovich, I had the honor and privilege of working with him a little bit on his public-private partnership book, which we actually read in the program and do a book review of. He was a very grounded and pragmatic leader, and I think you'll see that spirit of George Voinovich in our program. And in everything that we do here as a school. Very grounded and very pragmatic and very focused on solving the problems of our local communities, of our state, and of our nation. And I think that's what we really try to inspire in our students, and that's what we aspire to in the classroom. Dr. Murray, anything you want to add to that before I kind of review the nuts and bolts of some of the program?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of a lot of what Dr. Jolley mentioned here, I think our students really benefit from what we do here in the Voinovich School, and given that the faculty is engaged with both private and public organizations, as well as government and different organizations within the region. Our students get the benefit from that experience, and a lot of our faculty members bring some of what they do to the classroom. So, you get to see some of that real life work and how that's done, as well as Ohio University is a good established university. I myself am a two-time Ohio University alum. I have benefited significantly from my education at Ohio University, even prior to coming to the Voinovich School. And I know many have, and some of our past graduates have benefited from their graduate degree or graduate work as well. So, given what our faculty is currently doing within the region, given the engaged model that we have within the Voinovich School, the history, and just how Ohio University is placed within the southeastern region of Ohio. I think it's a great university. It's a great program, and we do a lot of great things here at the Voinovich School, and I think you'd really benefit from. So I'm definitely an advocate for the program and what we do as a whole here in the Voinovich School and at Ohio University. So just wanted to piggyback a little bit off of that.
That sounds great. Victoria, I'll turn it back over to you to go to our next set of slides.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was great. So I did want to get into some quick facts about the Online Master of Public Administration. You can complete this program in as little as 2 years, and it is all 100% online. And I did want to ask Dr. Murray, could you elaborate a little on the student online learning experience and what they can expect from it?
Yeah, so as you all know, as it was stated, it's a 2-year program. We do offer, so what's going to happen here when you start the program, we always going to take a foundational course and as well as some a basic research methods course, but our courses or our terms are separated into 7 weeks. So it is accelerated given that each course within the program is 7 weeks and you'll be taking 2 courses per semester. We do have students that come in, given that our students come from a broad range of different backgrounds and a broad range of age group within the students taking the online program. And what this means is, some of you have, experience with doing online work before, maybe some of your undergrad, maybe you do some things at work, and then you have a mix of people who also don't have as much experience, doing computer work online or taking coursework online. But, that's okay. We like to kind of take some of the fear away. We offer you guys an orientation to kind of get you acclimated to the online environment so that you can kind of warm up to some of these tools that you'll be using, within the classroom on a day-to-day basis. But I also like to tell the students, it may have been, 5 or 10 years since you've been in school, but, do try to focus more, on the work and, that you're doing with your projects and with your coursework and not too much on the technology. Don't let the technology push you away because we work through that stuff, okay? But through those 2 years, just know that the class is sectioned in 7-week terms, and there will be 2 classes per term over that 2-year period. I don't know, did you want to add anything else to that, Dr. Jolley?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay.
Thank you. So let's get back into those quick facts. So students are able to choose from 4 different concentrations, as you can see listed: crisis and emergency management, public leadership and management, nonprofit management, and state and local government management. And we will discuss further in detail in a few moments. But I did have another question for Dr. Jolley or Dr. Murray. What kind of career outlook is there with this program and the different concentrations?
So that's a great question, Victoria. I like to think that our program is like many things in life. You sort of, get out of it what you put into it. And so in the broadest sense, there clearly is, I think, a renewed, I'm going to say sort of resurgence interest kind of in the public sector. We are seeing a lot of focus in the current political environment with channeling the energies of government to address problems, particularly at the federal level, but then seeing that even funnel down through stimulus spending and other things to the state and local government level. So I do think that that does create markets for potential employment, both at the government level, but also at the nonprofit level, where people may be engaging in nonprofit organizations to try to advance particular societal goals. what I think is, and I think that is true, and I think the MPA is a great degree regardless of whether you get it at Ohio University or you get it somewhere else. What I think is, again, particularly unique about the work that we do is we do have these 4 concentrations, and we are able then to help people hone their particular skills at advancing in their organization or obtaining a new job within one of their areas of interest. Our students in the online program tend to be pretty diverse, and they tend to come from different areas. And so it's a little bit challenging for me to answer with specificity because I don't know the person who asked the question, I don't know what their background is. But for example, we sometimes have people who are working in the private sector. Maybe you graduated from college and you got a job and you're working in the private sector, but it's not really what you want to do because it doesn't maybe meet your passion and your desire to see change and affect change in the world. And you're looking at the MPA and saying, this would be a great place because I want to work in the nonprofit area. Maybe you want to work for a charity. Maybe you want to work for a particular advocacy organization. Or maybe you want to work in government because you'd like to try to address some particular passion of yours. So it could be, childhood hunger. It could be health. It could be economic development. And, getting an MPA is a natural step forward to do that. So that's kind of one kind of bucket of students I would say that we have. Another bucket of students that we have are those folks who maybe they've gotten out of undergrad and they're now working in government, local, state, or federal, or working for a nonprofit, but they know that they need either a graduate degree to advance in their current position, or maybe they realize I'm working in this particular position, but what I really want to do is work in another department, maybe within my county, or I want to work in another department within my city, or they realize that they want to just sort of shift gears entirely because they've been exposed to something else and they want to go to another organization, but they know they need that master's degree. And then the third bucket I would say is people who maybe are already advanced in their organization. Perhaps they've been working for a government or a nonprofit for a while, but what they realize is they've hit a ceiling in their ability to be promoted and to grow within the organization because they need a master's degree. And many times those kinds of students, they see the master's degree and they think, I want to get this credential because I need a master's degree to qualify for this next promotion, to qualify for the next advancement. And they're really just thinking about getting the credential. And that's fair to think about just getting the credential. But what I enjoy about those students is often they start the program and then at the end when they graduate or sometimes as they approach graduation, they often tell me, I came into this and I just wanted to get the credential. But I learned so much more about myself and about positioning myself as a leader. And I got so much more out of it than just getting the credential. So, I think, again, overall, it's a great market for working in the public, the nonprofit sector, or even working in the private sector if you're engaging with the government. This is a unique point, I think, in American history where not to editorialize, and I don't mean this in any way politically speaking in terms of one party or another, but there is a swing in our country, I think, back towards looking at government as helping to solve some of our problems. We have a tremendous amount of spending and attention coming from the federal government that we've not seen in a long time. And so it certainly does create employment opportunities for people who want to work in the public sector. And again, a lot of that money is being funneled down through to state and local governments and to nonprofits. So it's creating all kinds of market opportunities for people who want to work in the sector. And the MPA is, again, the degree that people look for working in the public and the nonprofit sector.
Thank you. And that brings me to my next slide. Let's get into the Master of Public Administration core. So the core foundations of the Master of Public Administration is where students will learn all their fundamentals and concepts for the field of public administration. So is there anything that you would, either of you would like to add to this section, anything specific that students should know?
Well, I would reiterate again, we're talking about the online MPA mode here, but these are the same courses that students take here in our on-campus program in Athens, and the same courses they take in our executive MPA program that meets on Saturdays. And this is a pretty standard core of courses that anyone would take in any public administration program. What, again, I think what differentiates us is that, one, our online program is taught by the same faculty. So you're going to be engaging with the same faculty online that you would be if you were taking it through one of our other modalities. And, again, we have this particular focus on problem solving and real-world applications. And so, you got the slide up right now, policy analysis. I'm teaching this course. I was just corresponding with some students before I jumped on. I was actually a little bit late jumping on, a minute or two late. I apologize because I was writing a student back in the online policy analysis course. And in this course that I teach, and the other instructor is Dr. Gilbert Michaud, Dr. Michaud and I really are helping students to address a particular problem that they're interested in trying to solve. And so we have people writing about things like disparate school funding, and I have a student right now who's writing about school funding in California. The student's in California, and this is something she's interested in. I have a student who's writing about poverty levels in Memphis, Tennessee, because the student is in Memphis and interested in how do they address some of the problems around poverty in Memphis. I have a student who's writing about occupational licensing for therapists, and she is here in Ohio and is interested in that, and that's an issue that may be coming before the legislature here in Ohio, and she's trying to gather more information about that. So, again, these are, real-world problems, and people are writing about this not from a theoretical perspective, but they're writing about it because they're interested in it. It impacts their occupation. It impacts where they live, their community. And we're helping them to think through that in a very critical and real way. And so, again, I would just stress the applied nature of the work that we do, and the fact that this is online, but you're getting the same content, the same instructors, the same attention that you would be if you were doing it in person. And Dr. Murray, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think you did pretty well in those descriptions. Just one thing I wanted to add, I think, in all the courses in one form or another, and what we do in the program overall is we try to push, this whole idea of leadership and, how to be a leader within your organization, and, what are some of the behaviors indicative to be a leader, and how you continue to push your organization forward, I think is one of those things that we kind of touch upon in each class one way or another. So, you're at the master's degree level, you're working, in one position, within your organization, and you're trying to be pushed to the next level. So, through promotion or whatever it may be. So I think that's one thing that we do touch upon in a lot of the courses, that whole leadership component.
Brilliant. So let's get into these concentrations. For the first one, the crisis and emergency management concentration is something that can probably resonate with everyone in this open house due to what we all went through and still going through with COVID. In this concentration, you will learn how to define and recognize a crisis, effectively crisis leadership, and how to survive and thrive in a crisis through collaboration. And we do have those 9 credit hours and those courses that you would be taking in this concentration: crisis collaboration, crisis leadership, crisis and emergency planning. Is there anything specific that either of you would like to add to this concentration?
Yeah, I'll go first perhaps, and then Dr. Murray, you can jump in. So the crisis and the emergency management concentration is our, along with state and local government management, are our 2 newest concentrations that we've added those in the last year or so to the program. What we noticed is that there are a lot of students who have an interest in working in emergency management and crisis management. And what I think is different about our program than many others in this area is you are, again, I keep going back to being practical, and you're going to learn practical skills. All 3 of these courses were designed and will be taught by John Bourne. And John retired retired from the state of Ohio as the Director of Public Safety for the state of Ohio. And in that capacity as being the Director of Public Safety, he was the top public official for the Ohio State Highway Patrol. He was a career Highway Patrol officer and then elevated through the ranks and became the Director of Public Safety. So he was in charge of the Highway Patrol for the state of Ohio. And so he has sat in the room with Governor Voinovich, or Senator Voinovich, who was part of a commission that was appointed by Governor Kasich, and John Bourne served under Governor Kasich, the governor of Ohio, when Governor Kasich was the governor. And, you know, they talked about how do they address things like police shootings, and, you know, how do you address some of the crisis that can engulf communities when there is a police shooting? How do you de-escalate? How do you try to meet the needs of the community? How do you address some of the challenges that have happened with things like, you know, drinking water crises? Where, for example, communities have had to respond and they can't drink water, and people have had to mobilize and bring in bottled water and other kinds of things. And so John has been at the forefront at doing this kind of crisis planning, engaging in the kind of collaboration that needs to take place between stakeholders and partners. And so you're not being taught by someone who wrote an academic paper about Homeland Security or crises. You're being taught by someone who has led a large organization here in the state of Ohio and knows how to engage in a real-world way. And so we do have a lot of folks in our program who are police officers, who are emergency service personnel, and they are in the program because they want to take this concentration, and the coursework is going to be of value to them. But again, it's not just, you know, reading a case from a textbook. This is, of course, is being taught by someone who's done this his entire career, who's been at the front lines, who's engaged with, you know, FEMA, federal law enforcement officials, state officials, and can talk to you about this from a very real-world perspective, and can share real-world examples in the classroom and talk to you about what's worked and share from his own experience. And so, you know, I just keep harping back on the practical and applied nature of what we're doing, and the practical and applied nature of the people who are teaching you in this program. And so, you know, we responded to the need. Students were telling us they wish they had more courses like this. We're seeing a lot of former military. We have a lot of veterans in our program, and many of them were interested in this. We have, again, a lot of emergency management personnel, fire, police, EMTs. And this really was a direct response to those students who wanted this kind of coursework, and that's why we launched this concentration. Dr. Murray, do you want to say more about this? Because Dr. Murray, in addition to teaching in our program, is on our front lines as it relates to designing the online courses, and he worked hand in hand with John Bourne to design these 3 courses and design this concentration, and he can probably give another specific example more detailed than I can.
I think you hit that spot on, Dr. Jolley. I think I just want to add that, you know, this particular concentration, I believe right now is really timely, and what's going on, or what has been going on with this within the last year and a half. Given what some of these social crises we've been having at the public level, you know, the crisis that we're just trying to come out of with the, you know, with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. And I think, you know, just kind of piggybacking off of what you said in regards to the instructor in this program who I developed a lot of these courses with, a lot of this stuff is project-based, so you're going to get to see some of those real-world examples. A lot of the work within these courses are reworked every semester so that, you know, you're getting some of those newer ideas, and so that you're getting some of these, you know, some of these getting exposed to some of these things that are going on right now in the world, so that we're not going over material from 20 and 30 years ago. Some of the things that are written within these courses are things that are happening right now, and we're kind of piggybacking off some of the experience of our professionals who's connected with the Voinovich School. So, and we connect everything into the projects, you know, as they come. So I think you'll definitely get a lot out of it. And this is just one of these concentrations that's really timely and really touches on a lot of what's going on right now in our country.
Thank you both, and yes, I completely agree. Definitely a great concentration to look into. Moving on to our state and local government management concentration. In this concentration, you can prepare to make a difference in the lives of everyday citizens as a leader in state and local government, whether enforcing laws or delivering services provided by state and local governments. You'll be at the forefront of helping communities grow, and within this concentration, you will be taking 9 credit hours consisting of financial management and government, special topics, and of civic innovation and citizen engagement, as well as public sector innovation in state and local government. And I do have a question. What are some ways that students can expect to make a change with this concentration?
Well, that's a great introduction and question, Victoria. So, you know, in this course, in this concentration, again, we noticed there was a whole lot of student interest in local government. You know, I try not to editorialize too much when I do these things, but you know, I think there are many of us who feel, regardless of whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or you're conservative or you're liberal, that that Washington is often broken, and Washington sometimes cannot meet the needs of the people. And what is happening then is our local communities are really sort of meeting the challenges that we face, and they're often having to meet those challenges around everything from, you know, climate change to how do we address the pandemic, to how do we address issues of racism, systemic racism, poverty. And so our local governments, and particularly some of our larger cities, are really stepping up and driving the innovation that we need to meet the challenges of tomorrow. And so what this course's concentration is designed to do is to help people who are working in local and state government understand what are some of the more innovative ways that we are addressing some of these challenges, while at the same time understanding that there are specific needs and skills that one must have if they're going to work in state and local government, and particularly at a management and leadership level. So you will see in the next, stay on this slide please, but you'll see in the next slide we'll list the concentration courses for public leadership and management. And one of the courses that is key to both concentrations is financial management and government, and understanding the principles of financial management. What does it mean? How do you understand the finances of your organization at the local and state level? And so that's a core course in which we're building those skills. And I co-teach that course with Professor Jenny Jones, and Professor Jones is a graduate of the Kennedy School at Harvard, and she's a long-time budget management positions in multiple organizations in the state of Ohio. So we're doing this, again, when we teach this from a very practical perspective of what are the very practical skills that students need. And again, that's for both state and local government management and public leadership and management. The other two courses, I also co-teach those with my colleague, Dr. Ani Ruhill, and my other colleague, Dr. Holly Raffel. Both are full professors here at the Voinovich School. Dr. Ruhill leads a lot of our data analytics work here at the school, and Dr. Raffel leads our prevention efforts here, so working with young people and designing programs around substance abuse prevention. So if we can prevent young people from engaging in substance abuse now, we'll have less issues that we have to deal with later as a society around treatment. And so what we try to do in the other two courses around public sector innovation and civic innovation and citizen engagement is to look at what are the innovative ways that governments are trying to solve problems on one hand, and also what are the innovative ways in which governments are engaging their citizens in driving some of those innovations. We all believe, I think, that we need a more participatory society. We need to engage citizens in helping them to understand the complexity and the nuance of problems, but also recognizing that our citizens are key to being engaged in solving some of those problems. And if you look at national polls, and it's been this way for a long time, there is considerable distrust of government, particularly at the federal level, but people do have much greater belief and trust in local government because local government is closer to them. They feel like it's something they can touch and impact. And so this is really about, how do we design more effective strategies for engaging the local community at the local government level. And so there's been a lot of interest in this concentration. It's a great concentration for people who want to try to advance their careers, particularly in local government management. So let's say you want to become a city manager, you want to become head of a department at a local government, learning about the nuances of local government, their responsibilities, innovative ways to try to make your department and your local government better. And likewise, we cover some of these same topics and ideas at the state level for people who want to get a stronger focus on state government management. Dr. Murray, I'm trying to go a little faster, and I'm not having much luck at it to try to get us through this because I know folks are on their lunch, and we have 2 more slides left, and we'll take some more questions and certainly take them as we go along. But anything you want to add to this?
No, there was nothing I wanted to add to that. I think you did fairly well with that one. Hit it right on the head.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So moving into our public leadership and management, in this concentration you'll learn to blend efficacy and ethics while maximizing financial resources and personnel. Is there any tangible ways or any ways that students can expect to grow as a leader within this concentration?
So here, kind of echoing what Dr. Murray said earlier, leadership is a core value of something that one of our core values here at the Voinovich School. And so certainly focusing on leadership is one of those. With respect to the other 2 courses, the Public Human Resource Management is taught by Robin Carlin, and Professor Carlin has worked for a long time in HR in the state of Ohio and had some pretty significant positions, and now she works as a consultant. And so students will get that HR experience. And this is our HR course for people who might want to work in the HR environment. They'll learn a lot in this concentration. And then data analytics, we are overwhelmed with data. We live in an information-rich society. There is an abundance of data that's available. Everything from people sort of saying what's trending on Twitter, and can we pull those tweets and see, what's the reaction to the latest news of the day and try to do that in real time, to thinking about, how do we pull together data analytics around where are COVID contacts happening. For example, there are apps that you can download on your phone, and it can track you, and then you can then get alerts that tell you if you've been in contact with someone who might have reported positive for COVID, if they also have that app on their phone, and maybe they happen to be around you that afternoon, and 2 days later they tested positive. So the data analytics course is taught by Dr. Ruhill, and it's really about helping students understand some of the critical information around data informatics and how do we use data to be better managers and leaders in public organizations. And so the concepts of data and data analysis sometimes scare students, but really this is a unique course if you're willing to jump in and do the work and you want to be in this concentration and learn some of those data skills. It makes you highly marketable in terms of getting a job if you're someone who can work with data and tell stories with data and analyze problems with data. So, this is a great skill for someone to have who wants to look for their next position, getting some of that data analytics skills.
Thank you. And moving into our final concentration, nonprofit management. So currently 1 in 10 U.S. workers are employed in the nonprofit sector, and it does continue to grow. So this is a great concentration to consider. Nonprofits help to fill service gaps in communities, and you can help as well. You're also, within this concentration, you learn to merge social responsibility and entrepreneurship and use the connective power of technology to raise funds and awareness for your efforts. This also is a 9-credit-hour concentration, and within the concentration, you'll be taking courses such as nonprofit financial management and resource development, nonprofit leadership and government, strategic communication and outreach for nonprofit management. And for our final concentration, what can students expect from this specific concentration?
So thanks, Victoria. The nonprofit management concentration was actually designed, all 3 of these courses, and structured together by one of our former faculty members, Dr. Judy Millison. And Dr. Millison worked 20 years or so here at Ohio University, and she left the university and went elsewhere, but still remains engaged with us and still teaches in the program, and teaches I think one of these courses and maybe two. And so she was an expert in nonprofit management, has a national reputation in that area, and again, like all of our faculty members, had professional experience working as a nonprofit administrator. So really, if you're going to work in the nonprofit world and you want to have a long career in that area, you need to have skills in a variety of areas. One of them clearly is, how do you manage and lead a nonprofit? So if you're going to be a nonprofit leader, you're going to be the executive director of an organization, let's say, you need to be able to work with your board. How do you effectively manage working with a board? How does the nonprofit governance structure work? It's different than working in the public sector. You do have different set of stakeholders in some ways, and even when you have the same stakeholders, you have that additional responsibility of managing your nonprofit board. Nonprofits also have different financial management requirements and resource development requirements. If you're going to manage a nonprofit, you need to understand what are the financial implications of doing that. How do you engage in resource development for your nonprofit? Nonprofits need to engage in fundraising. They need to do that in a way that is respectful of the legal requirements of nonprofit organizations. And also, they have certain obligations about reporting out what percentage of their funds they spend on various activities. If you're a charity, for example, none of us want to give money to a charity and find out that only 20% of the money went toward the charitable goals and the other 80% went to pay for marketing and advertising and paying for the staff. We would like to say, hey, for every dollar that's given to this organization, at least 80 cents, for example, maybe goes toward the actual charitable activities. So understanding some of those financial management requirements and some of the resource development needs. And then also, how do you strategically communicate what you're doing as a nonprofit? You can maybe be doing great work, but if nobody knows about it, it's going to be hard to sustain your organization. And so, how do you engage in outreach for the communities that you're trying to serve? How do you emphasize your organizational mission and communicate that to all of your important stakeholders? So, again, nonprofits are often seen as being a vehicle for the government to achieve many of their objectives, and so governments often engage nonprofits in support functions. And also, again, sometimes government can't solve every problem, either because there's a lack of funding or there's a lack of political will, and nonprofits have increasingly stepped in as being important providers of services, of information, and are key really to delivering on meeting many of society's needs. Dr. Murray, you actually teach one of these courses, and so maybe I'll let you speak a little bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely, and great job with those descriptions too, Dr. Jolley. I think you were right on with all of your information. Just as you stated, and just to kind of piggyback off some of that, a nice core of our students are working in nonprofit, or they want to go into the nonprofit sector one day. So this concentration really gives them a nice foundation on that, and looking at some of the some of the basics of how to lead and govern effectively within those nonprofit organizations. If we can look over time, and I know I look at some of this in the nonprofit leadership course that I teach, the whole legal framework of nonprofit organizations has changed over time and does continue to change. And there's a lot of things that you can and cannot do with some of the funding that you receive, things that you may not see within the private sector versus the nonprofit sector are done completely different. So in ways in which you can obtain resources, in ways in which you market the organizations, and how you incentivize employees. So we touch upon a lot of that. We do a lot of project-based work within all the courses, and the students really get a good foundation. They get a view in how's this whole structure of nonprofit organizations work, and how can we obtain some of this funding? How do we gain some of these resources? That's always a big discussion when we look at nonprofit organizations. We need more resources. We need resources. How can we obtain these resources? And what can we do legally? So that's always, those are always questions that are out there, and, we try to touch upon a lot of that to give the students a nice foundation. So.
Thank you. That was great. So I did want to remind students about our application deadline, which is July 30th. However, there is an early incentive scholarship for those that apply by June 25th. They can be entered for a chance to receive a $750 early incentive scholarship. And are there any closing remarks that either of you would like to make? I know you've already said a lot, but is there anything specifically you'd like students to come away with in this webinar?
I would just say maybe as a couple final thoughts, you are, again, joining a very robust alumni network when you come through the MPA program here at Ohio University. And so we do have a robust network, not just in Ohio, but around the country. And I think that's important, that networking and that skill, not just the skill building, but the networking that the program creates for you, and both with your current classmates, but also the students who have come through in prior years, and you're joining that network. And then I think we want to engage with you and be a source for really lifelong professional development and learning. And we do have something called the Voinovich Academy here, which is for non-degreed education and training. And we have had many of our students come through our program, graduate, and then they continue to be engaged with our Voinovich Academy for additional training efforts. They continue to be engaged with us as faculty members. We have an alum of our online MPA program, and I'm now working with him on some economic development activities because he's an economic development director here in Ohio. So, we're here not just to teach these courses and so you get your degree, but we're here to engage with you and be seen as a lifelong professional resource for you, regard you as colleagues in the broader professional world of public administration. So, I think that is something that is unique to us as well as a school, that we're again, engaging with people, not just while they're in the program, but we want to be engaged with you as you continue to advance throughout your career. Dr. Murray, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. I guess those are my final things I'd stress about what I think makes us unique as a program.
Absolutely. Just to piggyback off that, Ohio University, great institution and a well-known institution. The Voinovich School, a lot of great work that we're doing with our students and out there in the community. Also, I just want to tie back into one of our earlier notes in regards to scholarships. We do offer a $1,000 scholarship to military, both active and retired military officials. We offer another scholarship if you just happen to be an Ohio University alumni. We offer a scholarship for that. And we also offer a scholarship if you're one of our partner organizations. The Voinovich School is partnered with various organizations within Ohio. And if your organization happens to be one of those partners, you get $1,000 for that too. And all scholarships, all of the such scholarships are stackable. So if you fall into 1, 2, or 3 of those categories, you can receive all of them. So I just wanted to throw that note out there as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us. We didn't receive any other questions in the Q&A, but if you do have any other questions or you would like some more information, feel free to reach out to that email listed on the presentation or that phone number as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to have you back soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.